Well, ahoy there, pirates. We're here to do 9.3 measures of center. There's two new types of averages, some people would call them, or measures of center. They're the mode and the median. So, mean is one way to do an average or a typical value, and mode and median are the two that we're going to do for 9.3. So, let's try and figure out why we need something besides the mean. The mean's a good way to do an average. So let's say, and we would do this if we were actually in person, but we're not, but that's okay. So we would write down everyone's age in our class, including me, and then we would find the mean. So we would write down all of your ages, add them all up, plus my age, and then divide by how many there are in the room. And we would find out that the mean is probably not a good representation, because most of you are probably 11, 12, 13, and then you throw in my age, you add it all up and divide, and we would find out the average age in class is 14, and yet no one in class is 14. What? Well, that's not a good typical value then. So the mean is not always the best thing to use, even though it's typically the one that you would use to find the average. So we're going to learn about two other ways of doing averages or typical values. The mode is the value that appears the most often in a data set. So if we were to write down all of our ages, including mine, and instead of adding them up and dividing, we just find out the number that shows up the most, that's called the mode. And in that case, it might be the best way to represent our ages. So if we write down our ages and most of you are 12, then our average age based on mode, we would say, is 12. And that would be a good way to represent the average age of class, not the mean. So do you think it's possible for a set of data to have no mode? Is it possible to have a list of numbers where none of them appear more than any other? Yes. So that's one of the disadvantages of using mode, is sometimes you don't have a mode. So sometimes you don't have a number that appears more often than any other number. Do you think it's possible for a set of data to have more than one mode? That's also possible. That's the other thing with mode, is sometimes you might have like 6 people that are 11 and 5 people that are 12 and 6 people that are 13. So you'd have 2 modes. 11 and 13 would both be the mode. So mode is often a good way to do typical, but sometimes there is no mode and sometimes there's more than one mode. And you might be thinking, I'm confused, I don't get this, I'm not sure what's going on. Well, that's okay, we're going to do an example, and hopefully it'll make sense. So we asked a bunch of students, what are your favorite types of movies? These are the responses. So we have a whole big list of the different types of favorite movies, and it asks you to find the mode. So just looking at this list, can you find the mode? What is the mode for this class of favorite types of movies? All right, it's hard to tell from this list. So a lot of times what you're going to want to do is organize the list. And a good way to do that is called a frequency table. So a frequency table is like also called a tally table. And you just, as you're going through the list, you would put a little tally mark for how many people said that. And you find out, oh, there's 8 comedies on this list, 7 horror movies, 5 action movies, and 4 dramas. So the mode, the one that shows up the most, is comedy. Therefore, comedy is the mode. The mode is comedy for this list. Also notice you couldn't find a mean for this list because there's no numbers to add up other than the frequency here. So mode can be used with numbers, and mode can also be used with categories. So a good advantage of mode. All right, so what happens if one member of the class was absent and then shows up and votes for horror? Does that change the mode? Let's go back real quick. So if somebody who was absent comes back and says horror is their favorite movie type, does that change the mode? Yes, because now there are 8 horrors and 8 comedies. So now you have 2 modes. So now comedy and horror are both modes because they both have 8 votes apiece. Okay, so that's an example of when you can have more than one mode. All right, and now some of you like to take notes, and that's a very good thing to do. So I would like you to take notes. And what we just did was mode. So this is a nice mathy way of knowing what mode is. The mode of a data set is the value or values that occurs most often. Data can have one mode, it can have more than one mode, and it can have no modes. When all the values occur only once, there is no mode. Okay, so for this data set, and I would suggest writing this down as an example. So you got 11, 13, 15, 15, 18, 21, 24, 24. 15 shows up twice, 24 shows up twice. Therefore, the modes are 15 and 24. There are two modes for this example. If, however, there was an extra 24 added, 15 would no longer be the mode, even though it appears twice, because 24 shows up 3 times, and then therefore 24 would then become the mode. So the mode is the number that shows up more often than any other number. Okay. There's another way of doing an average value or a typical value, or also called a measure of center, and that is the median. Okay, so we've done mean. You add them all up and you divide. Mode is the one that shows up the most. Median sounds like medium. Okay, it's the number that's in the middle. However, the trick is you have to have the values in order first. So write this down in your notes as well. Median. Order the data, put them from smallest to biggest or biggest to smallest. Okay. For a set with an odd number of values, the median is the middle value. So like if our data set here is 5, 8, 9, 12, and 14, and they're put in order, notice, the 9 is the median. It's the one right in the middle. Okay. You don't have to add, you don't have to divide, you just put them in order, bam, the one in the middle, that's your median. For a set with an even number of values, the median is the mean of the two middle values. In other words, if I have 6 values here, 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, and 11, I put them in order, and then 5 and 7 are actually both in the middle. You kind of work your way to the middle. There's 2 numbers in the middle there, 5 and 7. The median is the number right in between those. So to get that, you can do 5 plus 7 is 12, divide it by 2, and you get 6 is the number right in between 5 and 7. So 6 would be the median. Okay, and I know I'm moving fast. We're covering a lot, but basically you're going to just want to take some notes on mode, take some notes on median, also include the examples. As long as you have these notes for mean, median, and mode, you can do all the problems that we're going to do. And the more you practice, the easier this will get. Okay, hopefully you took notes. I'm moving on. If you didn't, you can just pause the video and then write it down or replay the video later. All right, so we're going to do number 1 on here only. Okay, and it says use grid paper because a lot of times it's easier when you put the numbers in a grid to work your way to the middle. Okay, but what you're going to want to do first for number 1 here is put these numbers in order. Do not find the median unless you put the numbers in order first. Okay, so put these in order and then see if you can find the median for number 1. All right, when you put them in order, you'll find out that 44 is the middle number. Okay, so you have 3 numbers on the left, 3 numbers on the right, 1 number in the middle, which is 44, when they're put in order. So that is median. You're going to be practicing this quite a bit. You basically put the numbers in order, find the number in the middle. All right, so now we're going to practice with some bowling scores. We have these 10 bowling scores. Your job is to find both the median and the mode for these bowling scores. Keep in mind, because there are 10 numbers, there will be 2 numbers in the middle that you're going to have to find the average of to get the median. Okay, so what is the mode for this set of bowling scores? And what is the median for this set of bowling scores? All right, let's go through how to do those. So again, very important to put them in order. So you put them in order, and you'll find out that 135 and 145 are both in the middle. So you have to find out what's in the middle of those. So you can add these 2 numbers together and divide by 2, and you will find out that 140 is the median. Okay, so that's the number in the middle of our bowling scores after they're put in order. And then the mode is the one that shows up the most. And again, if you put them in order, it's easier to see which ones show up more often than others. And 160 shows up twice, which is more than any other one. Therefore, the mode is 160. So the median's 140, the mode is 160. So we could say that our typical bowling score was 140. Or I could say the typical bowling score is 160. Okay, or you can add them up and divide by 10, and you would get the mean bowling score. So sometimes it's better to use mean, sometimes better to use mode, and sometimes better to use median. And we're going to do this problem again to practice median and mode, and then one last problem, then you're going to be practicing a lot on big ideas. So students were found the median and the mode of the data set that contains the numbers of the letters of the Great Lakes. So Lake Superior has 12 letters, Michigan 12 letters, Ontario 11 letters, Lake Huron 9 letters, and Lake Erie 8 letters. What is the mode for the number of letters in the Great Lakes? It is 12, because 2 of the Great Lakes have 12 letters. What is the median? It is 11, because they're in order, 8, 9, 11, 12, 12, and 11 is in the middle. So the median is 11, the mode is 12. The one that shows up the most is 12. All right, and our final example. So we have all of these shoes that are on sale here. So the prices are 20, 31, 122, 48, 37, 20, 45, and 65. Find the mean, the median, and the mode for these shoe prices. So first, let's do the mode. That's typically the easiest one. What is the mode? All right, so hopefully you said 20. 20 shows up twice. So you could say that the mode for the shoe prices is 20. What is the median? Okay, we'll go through that one. Hopefully you remember to put them in order when you did the median. And then you have to find the average of the 2 in the middle. And then what is the mean? This is from 9.2. And that's where you had to add up all 8 prices and divide by 8. So the answers for the mean, hopefully you said $48.50. For the median, 37 and 45 are both in the middle. So you add those up and divide by 2, and you get 41 is the median. And then the mode we said was 20. Okay, so between $48.50, $41, or $20, which one is the best representation for what these shoes cost? Okay, you could probably argue the mean or the median. In this case, I would say probably the median. And the reason why is because the mean is thrown off a little bit by this $122 shoe. And the mode is definitely thrown off because the one that shows up more than others is the very smallest one. So in this case, the median is probably a better representation for the typical shoe price. All right, your job now is to do 9.3. Rewatch this video if you need to. Come see me in On Demand. Come see Ms. Rude in the ASC. Send me an email. Pop in or stay in during On Demand time after our next live session. Do whatever you need to do to get some help and understand mean, median, and mode. Hopefully you took some good notes. We're going to wrap up this chapter with 9.4 tomorrow, which is actually the easiest one. So as long as you have mean, median, and mode, you're set to go. You're just flying along with chapter 9. All right, so good luck, and I will see you during our next live session.